Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Riv, and we got a lot to talk about today. Uh,
But first, I have to speak about the weekend flush and a slight retraction. I received information from Mike Dion that he has never served as city administrator. So my position that he served as city administrator in the past and that he wasn't good at that job was in error. It was not done with malice. I obviously confused him with someone else, and it's a shame that I did confuse him with someone else, but here's somebody I confused him with, I guess. I don't know. um, there is no question about his job with CDA because after he takes the position for 90 days, he's going right back to CDA, which conveniently is when the elections are over. So once again, Mike, I'm sorry about that. Didn't mean to do it.
and
Um, but shit happens.
well, you retract. You made the correction as we do, as we always do. If there was any information that we know is knowingly not accurate, but I was going to tell you, I thought you were mixing him up with the sleeping giant
Sleeping giant. Yeah.
because he did come over and to be perfect, I think was he the city administrator or the CF? I think he was the city administrator, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think it was the
Temporarily,
city administrator.
I think that's who you were. Unfortunately, you were
Confusing
mixing
him with.
him up
Exactly.
with the real McCoy.
Yes.
So that happens. But let's let's start off with some really disturbing. Again, the school department is just replete, and it shows
School
the
committee
Coogan,
meeting shortly.
huh?
School committee meeting shortly.
The Coogan school department is just a disgrace. Uh, I will begin to uh, I will begin by reading a letter to the Fall River School Committee that says as follows. As a reminder, before tonight's school committee meeting, please do not engage in any discussion, either publicly or an executive session, regarding the proposed MCAD complaint that Attorney Joseph Finglas recently provided to the school department. As stated in my he said he's asking them not to. He doesn't say they can't do that because they can, and
Right.
they should, because the public deserves to know. Because again, they're covering up shit as usual. Okay, regarding the proposed complaint that Attorney Joseph Finglas recently provided to the school department, as stated in my prior communication, public commentary on pending legislation could compromise the city's legal position or inadvertently impact the defense of the case. In addition, any discussion at this time could interfere with the ongoing police investigation. For these reasons, I strongly advise the school committee from refraining from any discussion. That's absolute bullshit. What he's saying is, don't let the public know that we cover these things up because they're going to pay the lawsuit, and we want to pretend these things never happened, and we want to make see if our police department can find a way out for us. Let's hope they're not going to do that. This is freaking outrageous. This is
Sounds like Rhode
outrageous.
Island.
You have a lawyer suppressing the First Amendment. You think you can add that to your complaint with the ACLU? I'll send you this copy of this letter and this memorandum or whatever the hell it is. And this is just nuts. And while we're on a school department, there is another thing they've been hiding. And it's not in this year's budget either, because it may be in the budget, but it can't be because they're just giving it to them now. They're going to slide a $15,000 raise in for the new HR director. Now, allegedly, I haven't seen the paperwork yet, but I've been told by very reliable sources, and again, allegedly, $15,000 pay raise for this guy. And this guy is another Matt Malone. Now, we hired Matt Malone after he got run out of the Swampscott school system for harassing people, bullying people, sexually harassing people, and had a lawsuit pending, and he ran away. I just happen to know the attorney who filed the complaint in Swampscott. Then he got run out of the Brockton school system. He didn't get rehired. And then what does Fall River do? They hired this serial serial abuser. This is what they do. Now they hired this guy. And according to my sources, this individual was the HR director up in North Kingston when they had that. Remember that case about the
naked examinations?
Yeah, the examinations done by
the gym teacher.
Yeah, or the football coach, or
something. Whatever it
was. But I got to look. We've got to look a little deeper into this. And then I was told that after he was involved in this and attempted supposedly to cover this up there, he went over to Barrington for a while, and they dumped him from Barrington. So what Fall River does is we hire these people that have bounced around and done nothing but damage in other communities, and then we bring them here and give them pay raises and keep them on the payroll and hide all their missteps.
My question is this. Are we talking the city human resources director?
No, the school department human resources. School department human
resources director.
Yeah, no, not
because this is the only city I know that has two human.
No. I said at the beginning of the thing I was talking about the school department.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you did clarify it, CJ, because we do have the people that are going to start saying, "Are you saying that,
exactly
that Nick McAlee?" No, not Nick McAlee.
And the other reason why I said that is the human resources director for the city did just get a pay raise.
Yeah, $15,000, and his original pay raise, he was given the job supposedly in July, and they did not sign his contract till December, which again shows that, number one, that's illegal, but they don't give a damn about legalities.
That's right.
So, but the thing is, this guy is the guy, by the way, what I just opened this with. He's the guy that wrote that ridiculous opinion, and I think we should get a public records request for the exact thing that he sent to the school committee when, what section of that law, that supposedly regulation that applied to them on that when he said they could prosecute on the grounds, which they are. But what he talked about, that school department thing, that he said there was no, it didn't rise to the prosecution level. I think that's a lie. I don't know how what we saw, because we saw that complaint.
Yes,
we read that complaint on the show. We read that complaint on a show. There are some serious, again, allegations. This is just catastrophically like a Nazi regime that we have. You don't get to say anything, and you have the lawyer for the city suppressing elected school officials, trying to suppress their right to bring this to the public and say, we got a problem here. So we will never know how many complaints they have. This one they filed a lawsuit on. And again, we get these people that like to spin things to protect each other and say, well, nobody was convicted. It doesn't matter. They make an NDA. It's just like this case. This case will go to trial. The city will pay them off. There'll be a non-disclosure agreement. And then they'll say, well, much to do about nothing. No, it happened. But it's like going to court and making a deal before you go to court. You plead no contest. You're technically pleading guilty, but you made a deal. They go, okay, you plead no contest. We'll continue when you're connected. They continue without a finding. And if you don't do anything for a year, they throw the thing out. I know. I've seen it happen. We had 2 individuals on the Fall River Fire Department that were selling stolen goods at headquarters. It was on the front page of the Herald News. Stealing stolen goods at headquarters with the fire chief sitting inside out of the trunk of a car. Front page of the Herald News. They were both politically connected. They pleaded no. They dragged it out for a while. The old Terry Sullivan law, out of the news. They pleaded no contest. It was continued without a finding. And the poor kid, who was the son of somebody who worked in a fire department office, who worked at the Titleist company, and they convinced to steal the stuff, he got prosecuted. But these 2 clowns pleaded no contest, continued without a finding, and on a fire department, they got suspended for 3 days, which they were off for those 3 days, so they didn't lose a dime in pay. This is the way this city operates. So you're not gonna try to tell me about this crap. And this is the problem that we have. They're gonna suppress everything. It's like nobody knows. He's been in 6 years. They wouldn't tell the city council how many about the lawsuits we have paid.
That's right.
I mean, this is just outrageous. Why do you people not get pissed off? We try to tell you, pay attention, do your homework. Don't believe, read, do your research. Don't listen to the bullshitters. Don't listen to the distractors, because that's what politics is. And this is what it is. I just read a post that said, "Oh, some people are demeaning people, vice principals, and small business owners. That's not right." Well, that's not what most of the people I've heard refer to Paul Coogan as the vice principal mayor. That's not demeaning vice principals. If you're a vice principal in a school, it's a higher office. So, okay, so you're a vice principal. So we respect the fact that you're a vice principal. You may not be a good one, but you're a vice principal. You do have the title. but you don't do that as an excuse for your lack of performance in a different job. If you're a plumber and then you get a job in an IT firm and you don't learn the job, and somebody calls you on it and says, "You screwed this all up," and you go, "Well, what do you expect? I'm a vice principal." No, you're not a freaking vice principal. You work in another job. You're a mayor. You're supposed to be the mayor, not a vice principal. That's an excuse. That's a deflection. That's not disrespecting a vice principal. You're supposed to know your job. You're supposed to do your job. And while we're on that note, we've said it time and time again during elections. Running a small business doesn't qualify you to be mayor. Being a vice principal doesn't qualify you to be mayor. Being anything doesn't qualify you to be mayor unless you've been a mayor. Because a government job is different than running a small business. We've said that a million times. We have had, let's go back, CJ. Maybe you know a few other occupations we haven't had. but we've had a mayor with a GED.
Yep.
We had a mayor without even a high school diploma or a GED way back.
Yep.
And I remember his name, but I'm not going to say it. It was so long ago. Half these people weren't even born.
Don't even know.
Probably weren't born. Some of them weren't born yet when we had the GED mayor. We've had attorneys for mayors. That didn't qualify them. We've had politicians, state representatives. We've had people with degrees in political science and state representative. Eddie Lambert had a degree in political science,
Yep.
and he actually got elected to the school committee when he was in high school. You remember that one?
Yeah.
He got elected to the school committee as a teenager.
Yep.
Then he became a state rep. And then we had Carlton Viveras, who was a state rep. We have had attorneys. We have had virtually every fancy title we have, from a guy that just was a regular guy like Carlton Viveras was. When you become a mayor, you have to be judged on what you do as a mayor. Carlton Viveras had a GED, but he had an organization called the Fall River Task Force that brought together people from the unions, business, labor, everything. And that he used that as a resource. And he went and he hired people to run things that knew what they were doing. And he educated himself to a degree, like any president or governor has to have a cabinet. You can't expect a mayor to know these things. What you can expect a mayor to do is, when he gets in the job, make sure he knows where all the money is, make sure he has department heads and holding them accountable. And if he has to call in somebody, like other mayors have done. You think the mayor in Cranston tried to run the police, fix the police fiasco on his own? No, he called an outside police expert in. You think when they have problems in other communities, they hire some bozo that's been through 3 other jobs, like Malone, and like this guy apparently is, again, that's getting a pay raise from Coogan, and they're trying to slide that under the table? This is why we tell you, don't listen to these bullshit deflectors, because that's what they are. Oh, it's demeaning. Why you're making you're making fun of? No, we're not making fun of vice principals. If I went to a healthcare meeting and didn't know my ass from a post hole, and they ran all over me and tripled the cost of our healthcare plan, what am I going to say? Oh, don't blame me. I was just a district fire chief. No, that's not the way it goes. I took the time to learn how to be a union president. I took the time to learn how to be a professional firefighter. I took the time to learn about healthcare and the laws. I took the care to learn about collective bargaining when I was doing collective bargaining. That's what you're supposed to do when you get a job. You're supposed to learn a freaking job. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't want to hear that crap from anybody that's making spins. Because that all that is a spin and a deflection. It's not an aspersion on a job. When you use the fact that you can't do your job because you did some other job, that's just a pile of bullshit. And with that, CJ, I'll turn it back to you.
I can hear you. I think it's, people are going to talk about their candidates, and that's fine. Okay? Yeah. You have a right to your opinion. We don't like to block opinions. But I'll tell you, nobody who is elected mayor comes with experience, unless he was previously a mayor, as Chip said earlier. And most of them that were previously mayor don't get reelected after they've been out of office. It's kind of difficult. Now, we've seen it where lifelong politicians got reelected several times because they catered to the general masses. Their votes, their policies, their actions did not cater to the general masses. They resulted in the destruction of downtown Fall River, which is kind of difficult for some people to understand. We had a state representative for 30 years, Bob Correa, run for mayor and win. And within 9 months, they wanted to string him up because he was doing what was right.
That's the irony. That's the
right.
irony.
He was doing what was right, and you wanted to string him up, which tells me that the people of Fall River are deluding themselves, demented, or simply suffering from brain damage. Okay? And I don't blame the firefighters for saying they weren't going to take the pay cut. Instead, and the firefighters did this themselves, they said they wanted to cut the staffing. So they cut the staffing and didn't lose their pay cut. They didn't give a pay cut. That's fine. That was their decision. But then the people of Fall River blamed Bob Correa for it. He gave you an option. The majority of members of the union said, no, we don't want a pay cut. We'll take the staff cut. So they took the staff cut. You didn't blame the union. The union had a right to that.
And you know, CJ, this is the real contradiction in what people want.
Exactly.
If you look at Boston, Menino took on the unions, did exactly what Correa did, and became an institution in Boston. They would have elected him forever. He told them, you have to move into the city of Boston, otherwise we weren't going to hire you in every department. And every department, which are very powerful and very rich up in Boston, they rebelled. I know the firefighter union went 5 years without a contract because they would not accept it. They ultimately accepted a revised version that grandfathered the members that were there then in, but they have a residency, and Menino stood up to people. Bob Correa was doing the right thing. I think a lot that had to do with Bob Correa's person. He thought he was the Speaker of the House. A lot of people didn't like what he did. But as you said, that's the right way to do it. A lot of people have already forgotten that Maura Healey is already talking about furlough days for state employees, and that's not optional. They're all going to get them.
That's right.
You know, she's talking about, furlough days and
new taxes, like new fees,
because they never stop spending. But this is the problem, the irony. Fall River then got upset. They bounced the guy who went in and said, look, we're in financial trouble and we have to do that. And the firefighters were, they exercised their right as a union. I did that once. We were threatened with pay cuts. I had a union meeting. My union said, we do not want to take the pay cut. We're going to take, our philosophy was that we don't want to continue to take pay cuts because they'll threaten to do this forever and we'll never get a pay raise. So we'll take the pay raise. You cut the manpower and and we're not going to take it. But those things never came during my tenure. The city backed off on pay cuts for everybody because of the pressure. But how about the tax rate? It shouldn't come to the point where you're going to make employees choose between a pay cut or staying on the job when the whole problem is caused by guys like Coogan giving out $600,000 worth of pay raises in his contract and now giving another $15,000 to this bozo over in the school department who's already allegedly has a check and passed, and we're going to check deeper into it. I think his name is Lally or something like that.
It's Bruce Lally. Is that sound right?
I'm sorry.
Bruce Lally. Does that sound right? I remember the name being on that letter.
I think it is. I think that, but the first name, you know how they are. Then if it's not Bruce, they're going to crucify you. I'm just saying, I think it is. But look, the name is irrelevant, as these people say. Listen, nobody's discounting the difficulty of being a mayor, especially in a city like Fall River, which takes somebody with a real set of cojones to bring this city back. This is the problem. We need somebody to say, look, we're gonna have to do some serious stuff. And the first thing we have to do is know exactly how much money we have. All this other priority stuff is secondary to knowing how much you can do, because you don't know what you can even maintain unless you have an accurate. And this has been going on for decades now. These mayors grab it. And I know there was one mayor who was told the financial condition of the city very accurately without a forensic audit, because I had a really great forensic audit. And no, you're right, Jeff and Nelson and stuff. You're right. I mean, I never did get an answer to my question, and Jeff's right. I don't care what they did before, but when they become a mayor, they have to say, okay, I'm not going to know everything, but I can. I do. You do. See, the thing is, people think it's like, oh, I'm going to elect him because he's a nice guy. No, Fall River's become a patronage pit. You look at it now.
Because of the election,
this is what you got. And the thing is that listen, when you can become a mayor, you do have a lot of resources. I didn't
watch it.
I think I got a link to it though.
After briefly watching Carlos's, I don't personally feel that the Fall River Reporter is asking serious questions of the candidates that are pertinent to the issues that the people of Fall River are facing. Okay? Rent is not something a mayor can control. Immigration is not something
and
mayors can control.
There's no way that'll exclude him from all the market rate housing people. But just to get back, and I want to interrupt so you can finish. But Steve, you're always a great contributor. We appreciate it. We respect everyone's opinion, but it's definitely not our. We'll give you our opinion once I watch the thing. But it's important that you as someone who what did you think of what you heard?
Right, that's more important.
Yeah, because that's more important. Because that's why we're here trying to give people information to make a decision on something other than, well, he's a nice guy. Oh, he's put a label on him. No, I don't care.
And that's great, Brenda. I said this before.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's going to have to earn my vote. I don't know what makes you think that. If you want to articulate that, that'd be good. We have him on the show. He can articulate his platform. It's like I said. Listen, you can promise anything you want, and nobody has a crystal ball. But I'm not going to vote for anybody that doesn't. It's not going to tell me that, number one, we will now put the citizens back as the priority in the city. We will attempt to stabilize the tax rates, that we will make sure we know where all our money is, and we will prioritize public safety. It's that simple. And we're going to stop this patronage, this circle of patronage, and this 6 years of higher incompetence for everything.
He may have a very good plan that you know of, but the general public doesn't have it. It's nice if you can vocalize your plan. And I'm picking one candidate, that being Carlos Caesar. He's published his plan. And not only did he publish it, he made it clear to people that he published it. You have to let people know about it.
They will, yeah. And if rent control is part of that plan, he's never going to implement it because it'll be a negative. Yeah, there you go. Another good point.
Yeah.
We talked about that. When it takes 800 calls before we respond to a place where there have been alleged rapes and armed robberies and other things. But Rent control will not work in the city of Fall River because what will happen is, how many rent control units are they going to have? Look at New York City. You got the guy running for mayor who's coming from a very wealthy family with a rent control unit. They even politicize rent control units.
Yes.
And they've done it in New York City. Rent control is not an answer to anything. You know what's a control to things? Getting actually your economy stabilized and make this city healthy, having people work in it, prioritize training people to get jobs. Like I said, and instead of giving tips to millionaires from out of town who take their money and leave, or even millionaires from the city of Fall River who can only buy so many groceries, why don't we think about, why doesn't some mayoral candidate, I'm just giving you my 2 cents, why doesn't some mayoral candidate think of coming up with something that's kind of a modified TIF? But instead of giving it to a millionaire, offer people who want to buy a house in Fall River, live in Fall River, pay taxes in Fall River, a reduction in their taxes as long as they say, I'm going to live here a minimum of, let's say, 5 years, like they do with TIFs, whatever length the TIF is, for 10 years or whatever, and give them a break on their tax bill when they have a job and can actually afford a mortgage, and then will come to Fall River, bring their money with them, and shop in Fall River and live in Fall River and contribute to the Fall River economy. That might actually do something. But no, let's bring this guy from Rhode Island that was in Kingston and covered up crap, allegedly, and then in Barrington didn't last very long. You know, they still haven't explained to me how they hired Malone. I know how they hired him. Look at the school department. You got a lawyer telling them to shut up. Let's put a lid on this so the people don't know how bad it is. And Paul Coogan now brings Mike Dion over. Nothing on Mike Dion, but what's Mike Dion doing there? He's filling that gap till after the election. 90 days will be past the election. Now Paul Coogan's going to put in one of his cronies and give him a giant pay raise. That's what he's going to do if he gets elected. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this out. This guy's got a 6-year record of doing this stuff. I mean, how much more blatant? I think I'm going to file an amicus with your complaint to the ACLU about this school, about this stuff with the suppressing speech. I mean, this is crossing the line when a lawyer. But you notice he is at least a lawyer, not a very good one if he has to work in the city of Fall River and can't make a living doing it in the private sector of law. So even though he graduated from Brown. But you notice in that little memorandum, or whatever you want to refer to it as, he said, I strongly advise. He doesn't say they can't. And you know what will happen now if somebody decides to do the right thing on the school department, like Colin or Kevin? They're going to shut them up. They're going to start yelling, you're out of order, shut up. And what should happen tonight is they should keep talking and tell them, okay, have me arrested, dragged out of the school committee in handcuffs, and I'm going to sue you personally and the city of Fall River. Because you're not only violating my constitutional right to freedom of speech, you're violating the Mass Supreme Court ruling that we can say anything we want at this meeting. Test it. As Martin Luther King once said, if you believe in something and you believe a law is incorrect, defy it, but be prepared to go to jail. He didn't say, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want any repercussions. I'll suffer the repercussions. Nelson Mandela spent decades in prison fighting against apartheid in South Africa. He became a national hero, the president of the country, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize. But he went to jail. Martin Luther King said, you disagree with the law, disobey it, but be prepared to go to jail. But what have we got for a society in this navy blue state? We got hundreds of bikers now driving through traffic, pulling what they do in Fall River and Providence on bicycles on Route 93 in Boston. And they made one arrest. And there were hundreds of them. I mean, it's a horror show to drive 93 to begin with. Then you got these, and ironically enough, what really baffled me was one of the idiots that they arrested wasn't a teenager. I mean, if the guy was 14 or 15, you'd say, look at these boners. But they get away with everything. But the guy they arrested was 22 years old. He should be arrested for riding a bicycle when he's 22 in traffic because he's an idiot.
Right now, the school committee is reading Jeff Gaudreau's letter. Jeff, tune into the school committee meeting.
Yeah.
Already, though, not even 5 minutes into the meeting, and the shenanigans already started.
Oh, yeah. they're gonna look. You can't talk in that meeting because you've got everybody, including the person who's supposed to run the meeting, telling everybody that has a different opinion to shut up. Right. Like I said, the superintendent rules things out of order, which she doesn't have the right to do, by the way, because she's not the chair of that committee in the school committee meeting. There's a chairman that's supposed to make parliamentary decisions on what's in order or not. Then you have the rest of them spouting up. Then you got the other one worried about if her lettuce is limp. So what the hell? I mean, it's like a three-ring circus.
I know.
I mean, I've never seen anything in my life. I've been in this game, and you've been in this game a long time. I have never seen such a. But I mean, this is scary. I have never seen. They talk about. I love when the Democrats talk about democracy. I've never seen such an anti-democratic body as this Fall River School Committee. It's been bad, but now it's untenable. I mean, you can't say a word that they don't like. They've even stifled free speech. Yeah, Jim. ACLU's already sent a ruling down to them about Colin and citizens' input. Now, CJ's filed a complaint with the ACLU. Let's hope they look at their old one and remind them they not only have not limited free, they've eliminated it.
That's right.
This one. They sent them down a ruling saying they didn't have the right to limit that speech on the school committee. Now, their answer was to completely eliminate it. Okay, we can't shut them up during the meeting. We just won't let them talk.
Won't let them talk.
This is why people have got to get to the polls. I'm sorry. It's not that the irony is the fix is so easy. Get to the damn election. Get there and vote. Get there and vote. Look at the candidate and look at, there's only one candidate here that we can, without a doubt, determine if he is going to be a good or a bad mayor. That's Paul Coogan. He's been a horrendous mayor. Absolutely horrendous. He stifled free speech. They've covered up everything. Attempted rape, sexual harassment, fist fights. We showed the videos of the fist fights on this show. And they denied there were fist fights. We had the videos. And they denied it. So this is what you got. You've got fundamentally, you want to talk about regimes that are fascist and authoritarian. You have one. You have fundamentally the Coogan Mafia running the city. So the only person who you can, everybody else, it's all theoretical. And like I said, it doesn't matter what their background is. Being a mayor, unless they've been a mayor before, and then they're running on their old record, You have to take them at their word and at their platform. And as I said, I will look at everybody's platform, but so far I haven't seen anybody really articulate any.
I've heard a lot of platitudes.
Yeah. Well, Brenda, well, that's again, welcome
And
to that.
Brenda,
Welcome to the free state of North Korea.
and
We're
Brenda,
a suburb of North Korea.
yeah,
This
it's
yeah.
not only the school department that's not reading them. On the city side, at the city council meeting, I've been told, allegedly, that unless you prove you're disabled, your letters will not be read into the record. Allegedly, they make copies of them and send those to the city councilors. And they constitute that as being read into the record. That is a violation of the American with Disabilities Act. The Americans with Disabilities Act does not say you have to prove your disability. The American with Disabilities Act says you're requesting reasonable accommodation.
Yes, and it's when you become the mayor, it's a real leadership position, and in leadership positions, you have to delegate authority, but you are accountable, as Harry Truman said. The buck stops here. So Paul Coogan, the buck stopped everywhere but Paul Coogan, and he used everything as an excuse and a deflection. And uh, this is the difference between people who contribute to society. When you become a mayor, you've got to look. There's a big fight. Well, we didn't even hear about that on the news, David. He was assaulted. Well, my condolences. But to show you, I'm going to just ask a little point of personal privilege. I'm not going to get too deep into it. My son just sent me a something about a very close friend of his. We went to school. We went to college with him. His father has just passed away at 91. His name is Pedro Nascimo. He was born in 1934 in Dallas, Texas, to immigrant parents, legal immigrant parents. And I'm not going to get into this. It's an extremely long obituary, but he has 37. He left 37 grandchildren, great grandchildren, and his family, which is very large, has about 7 doctors in it, and all professionals. Everybody in his family went on to get an education, and here's a man that came from nothing, that lived a amazing life, and his commitment to education and everything else is shown in his life. But again, this is just a little version. I've told my son to give, and I do know his friend from college. When I went out there to visit them out in Iowa, I know Dr. Lewis, and he's a very good young man. And I know all his brothers and sisters, most of whom are all professionals. Shows what you can do when you actually try to do something the right way. This man did it the right way, and my condolences to Lewis and his entire family. His dad had a long and a very fruitful life. So,
Hey, I got a comment here on something a little different.
okay.
Sorry about that. I know it's a memorial.
No, sorry, I'm done with that. That's all.
A woman posted on the Fall River School Committee's live stream, "Why can't you answer people who have applied for positions?" Her comments were deleted.
Yeah, because they don't care if you apply. I'll give her the answer, CJ. They don't care. They're going to put in whoever the hell they want.
Right.
Your
And they complain about not having enough people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then what? How many are they short?
100 and something.
100 and something.
161.
100 or something like that. Yeah. But this is what we got. And it's not all Mayor Coogan's fault. It's the mayor. It's the fault of the school committee. They are accessories before, during, and after the fact. It's the majority of the city council and the majority of the school committee. They are accessories before, after, and during the fact. They're going to help. They're going to stifle tonight. They will not talk about that complaint. They will not ever mention it, because you know why? Somebody might say, remember when Malone was here and they talked about not having a policy? If they allowed the general public to talk, might ask the question, have you finally gotten a policy in place? And the answer to that will be no. Even though they have a policy in place since he took office. And I know
if they answer it.
I mean, you look at this thing and with all the time I spent in this game, I have never seen this city on such a lockdown. I've had mayors where people were afraid to kind of do things and piss them off. They're always a lot of people are just afraid of somebody with a little bit of power. Oh, I got a job. You and I have both we've been doing this thing over 15 years. You and I have had calls from people saying, don't mention my name because I work, I got a city job and I don't want to, they'll come after me. And that's not the way to run a railroad. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's already a clown show. Okay, well, it's always a clown show there,
That's
Jeff.
right.
Yeah, Jeff, it's already a clown show. That letter was from Rumsey is just nauseating. He should voluntarily turn in his law license because he's lost all semblance of ethics. He's worried about how much money they have to pay out, not because he's worried about the taxpayer that has to pay it. He's worried about Paul running out of money.
Right.
Even more. That's why. Let's not make that confusion that he's writing that for altruistic reasons, because he is not. He is not. It is about saving the city some money so Paul can give out more pay raises. So 15 grand for a guy who's pulling. We got another Malone on our hands. Malone came from Massachusetts, and they're all political ticks. Where did Malone start? You remember where Malone started, CJ? Malone got his start with Deval Patrick.
Yes.
He was pals with Deval Patrick.
And he became the secretary of DESE.
Yeah. And he got that job, which is a position that, you have absolute power, and there is no accountability because you're a politically appointed clown and everybody's scared. So he got away with that kind of behavior. And then when Deval went out, he lasted about a New York minute. And he was gone, and then he went to Swampscott, which is a fairly wealthy community, and he didn't last long there. He was gone, and then he went to Brockton, and then Fall River. It's like, put in your application if you have absolutely no disciplinary actions against you, if there's never been a lawsuit filed against you, if your record is clean, if you have a record of success in your position, do not apply here. We will immediately reject your application for employment. This is the city of Fall River now. If you're a dud, you can't do your job, you need 6 assistants, and then we'll demote you and still keep you on a payroll as someone who is going to provide information to the person who replaced you. How can you do that if you couldn't do the position in the first place? I mean, this is what we got. Think about it, people. Look at it objectively. We got to get rid of council members. We've got to get rid of school committee members. We've got to clean house. Otherwise, you reap what you sow. You get the government you deserve.
I can't say this enough. Up to 20 to 30 years, we've had Brad Kilby and Linda Pereira. Have you seen a significant change at Fall River? Have you seen anything change?
Not for the better.
But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they keep electing him because somebody did me a favor. They fixed my pothole. They got my trash picked up. They cut my tree. That's not how you elect people. Look at their records. Same thing with Sean Kadim. Sean Kadim says all the right things, but he votes the wrong way. He makes good points, and then he votes for it. Instead of making good points and saying, no, I'm not going to vote for it, I vote against it. No Jab FJB says gaslighting. The check doesn't come to Ken Fiola. It goes to my organization. There's no conflict with the state rep. Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, there's no conflict. That decision was given by an ethics committee that was appointed by the state reps.
That's true, Fred. Some got a chow mein sandwich.
Yeah, somebody got a chow mein sandwich. Yeah, yeah. It's not. It's with the ethics commission in the state of Massachusetts is about as ethical as the government. And Wu up in Boston now is getting hammered because she talks a good game. She had a segregated Christmas party, no whites allowed. She's a racist, and now she's spending $100 million on a soccer stadium for billionaires, while Boston has become one of the most, if not the most expensive place in the United States to raise a family.
I'll give you one better. Michelle Wu just signed a contract with ICE for $12 million. And she now has to provide support for ICE, for immigration retrieval.
Wow.
Like it or not, this is the queen of the sanctuary city. But she's going to sign a contract with ICE.
Boy, you know something, CJ? I found one redeeming feature about running your city into the ground financially. She's so desperate, she has to throw away all her woke values to get that money to try to keep that city afloat because she's running for re-election. Why do you think she's signing that contract, CJ? For the money.
That's right. She wants that $12 million.
She needs that because she's run the city into the toilet, just like Coogan. Maybe that might give Coogan an idea. Maybe he will sign that with ICE, and then we'll lose half the people in market rate housing.
You never know.
But this is, look, I wish, yeah. It's just, you're right, Jeff. It's the same thing over and over again. So because some pseudo de facto political organization rules it, you go to court, you know how many times, but that's the problem. Nobody has the money to go to court. And like I said, unless you hit I checked my Powerball again. I did hit $7. I matched the mega.
Give me an order of clam cakes.
Yeah, I got the mega number, but I can't go to court with $7. So, but I matched the Mega Millions number. But I keep trying. You can't hit a home run unless you get in the batter's box. So I keep buying the tickets. I don't buy a lot of them, but I buy them. But I keep hoping against hope that I'll be able to sue their asses off. But this is the problem, because and this is what they do. It's like when they get a study. Remember Lambert? Lambert was like the king of studies. Every time he wanted to do something, he went and got a study.
And who got the study?
The
UMass.
And then
what did he do after he left Mass?
He went and got a job.
Yeah, where? At UMass.
This is the way it works. But every study he commissioned said he was right, and 3/4 of the studies were wrong. So it's just like the ethics commission says it's okay. If you're a politician, it's okay. If you're not a politician, it's not okay. So that's that. The ethics committee is not a court, and if somebody took them to court, they would get overruled because it's an obvious. I mean, you're giving your husband a 50% discount de facto, not directly, but indirectly.
That's
And
right.
by the way, just for the record, because we have to take this course every 2 years, doesn't the ethics law state that it doesn't even have to be unethical if even the perception of it not being ethical makes it a violation of the ethics law? So tell me the perception of her husband being involved in all these sales, knowing how much money he gets for brokering these deals, doesn't give the perception of it not being ethical. And with that,
Right.
I rest my case.
It is what it is, that's for sure. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great night.